The nurse ran down the corridor of Central Hospital shouting words no one would ever expect to hear. "The baby is gone. Someone took the baby." It was 3 in the morning when they discovered that the tiny newborn, born prematurely just 2 days earlier, had disappeared from the nursery. The security cameras showed something impossible to believe. A gray wolf had entered through the half-open window and gently carried the child in its mouth. Panic took over the hospital. The baby's parents, Rachel and Thomas, fell into absolute despair. How could a wild animal have done this? Why? The police were called immediately, and an experienced tracker named David was urgently summoned. He examined the footprints in the fresh snow outside and confirmed the impossible. It was definitely an adult wolf, and judging by the tracks, a female. No one understood. Wolves do not approach hospitals. Wolves do not enter buildings full of people. And most importantly, wolves do not carry human babies without harming them. The footage showed the animal holding the child with an almost impossible care, as if it knew exactly what it was doing. The doctor in charge, Dr. Harrison, warned that the baby would not survive more than 48 hours without the necessary intensive care. The search began immediately. Rescue teams, police officers, and volunteers spread out through the forest surrounding the city. Time was against everyone. The temperature was dropping rapidly, and the snowstorm was approaching. Rachel cried non-stop, repeating the name she had chosen for her daughter, "Lily, my Lily." David followed the tracks deeper into the forest, but something deeply troubled him. The marks in the snow showed that the wolf was not running or hunting. It was walking slowly, stopping frequently, as if it were protecting something precious. That made no sense at all. If you are enjoying this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment on what you thought and where you are watching from. While the searches continued desperately, no one knew that 3 days earlier, in the same forest, something tragic had happened to that wolf. 3 days before Lily's disappearance, the gray she-wolf known as Shadow by the local conservation team had lost her 5 cubs in a sudden flood caused by the accelerated melting of snow in the mountains. The water invaded her den during the night, and when dawn came, Shadow was alone, howling in pain on a muddy riverbank. She wandered through the forest like a ghost. She did not hunt, she did not drink water, she only walked aimlessly. Her body was still producing milk. Her maternal instincts screamed for cubs that no longer existed. On the second night, the storm that hit the region brought her, without her knowing it, close to the hospital. The scent of something small, fragile, and in need of care crossed her keen sense of smell. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Lily's situation was becoming complicated. The baby had been born at only 32 weeks, weighing less than 2 kilograms. She needed constant monitoring, but on that fateful night, the nurse in charge had to step away for a few minutes to attend to an emergency. The nursery window had been left stuck half open because of the excessive heat from the broken heater. Shadow entered silently. Her pupils dilated when she saw the tiny being wrapped in blankets. Something inside her awakened violently. The maternal instinct that was destroying her from within found a purpose. With impressive delicacy, she took Lily by the blankets and disappeared into the darkness. David continued following the trail, now accompanied by a rescue team. He noticed something disturbing. At a certain point, the tracks showed that the she-wolf had stopped and rearranged the baby's position in her mouth. "She is protecting the child," he murmured in disbelief. But why? The question echoed in everyone's mind. Rachel was being medicated to endure the trauma. Thomas could not stop pacing back and forth. The hours passed cruelly. Dr. Harrison calculated silently. Lily needed special feeding every 3 hours. Without it, the consequences would be irreversible. No one imagined that at that exact moment, in a hidden cave 8 kilometers from a hospital, Shadow was keeping Lily warm against her fur, gently licking the baby's face as she would with her own cubs. 24 hours had passed. David and his team followed the trail deeper and deeper into the forest. What they discovered left them speechless. The she-wolf had created an improvised nest inside a cave, lining the ground with dry leaves and soft moss. There were signs that she had stayed there for hours, warming something against her body. Shadow knew that something was wrong. Lily cried weakly, her cry growing softer with each passing hour. The she-wolf tried to keep her clean, gently licking her face and hands as she would with her cubs, but she realized it was not enough. The baby would not accept wolf's milk, even when Shadow instinctively tried to nurse her. Desperation grew inside the animal. At the hospital, Rachel suffered a nervous breakdown and had to be admitted. Thomas did not leave the waiting room, clutching the small blanket Lily had worn. Dr. Harrison coordinated the search with the police, calculating that at most 12 hours remained before dehydration would cause irreversible damage to the child. During the second night, something extraordinary happened. Shadow carried Lily out of the cave under the full moon. The she-wolf looked at the baby, then in the direction from which she had come. Her animal instinct went to war with her maternal grief. She could feel that the little human was weakening rapidly. David noticed something crucial while examining the most recent tracks. The she-wolf was moving in wide circles, always returning to a specific point. "She is hesitating," he explained to the team. "It's as if she's trying to make a decision." The discovery brought a dangerous hope. Perhaps the animal realized that she could not save the baby alone. As the promised snowstorm finally began to fall, Shadow made the most painful decision of her existence. She cleaned Lily one last time, pressed her muzzle against the baby's chest, feeling the faint heartbeat, and then did something no wild animal should be capable of doing. The she-wolf began to walk back toward the hospital, carrying the baby with a care that defied all logic of the wild. The dawn of the third day brought the impossible. A central hospital security guard called over the radio, trembling, "There's a wolf at the main entrance. It's carrying something." Within seconds, doctors, nurses, and police officers rushed to the glass doors. What they saw froze everyone in place. Shadow was standing just a few meters from the entrance, with Lily still wrapped in the hospital blankets between her jaws. The she-wolf did not growl, did not bare her teeth. She simply looked at the humans with eyes that carried an impossible-to-describe pain. Dr. Harrison slowly stepped forward, his hands raised. "No one move," he whispered. The tension was unbearable. Shadow slowly lowered her head and placed Lily on the ground with a delicacy that made several people cry. The baby was alive, wrapped in the same blanket, her face clean. The she-wolf had kept the child warm and protected for 36 hours. Then something happened that no one would ever forget. Shadow approached Lily one last time and gently licked her face, like a mother making a silent farewell. The she-wolf lifted her eyes to Dr. Harrison, and in that moment, human and animal shared a deep understanding. She knew she was handing the baby over to those who could save her. The doctor moved quickly, picked Lily up in his arms, and ran inside the hospital. The medical team was already prepared. Meanwhile, Shadow remained standing for a few more seconds, watching the door through which the baby had disappeared. Her body trembled, not from cold, but from an emotional pain visible even to the humans around her. Rachel and Thomas were called in urgently. When they saw Lily in Dr. Harrison's arms, they broke down in tears. The baby was dehydrated and mildly hypothermic, but alive and without injuries. She was protected, the doctor explained emotionally. That animal kept her warm and safe the whole time. Outside, Shadow gave one last look at the illuminated building. Then silently, the she-wolf turned and disappeared into the tree line, carrying with her a story that would challenge everything we knew about instinct, loss, and maternal love. Lily fully recovered after 5 days of intensive care. The doctors were astonished. Despite spending 36 hours away from the hospital, the baby had no scratches, no bite marks. Shadow had carried that fragile child for kilometers through the forest without causing the slightest injury. The story spread quickly. Journalists from all over the world called Central Hospital wanting details. The security camera footage showing Shadow returning Lily went viral, moving millions of people. But for Rachel and Thomas, it was more than news. It was a miracle they would never be able to fully explain. David, the tracker, spent weeks searching for Shadow in the forest. He wanted to understand, perhaps to thank her in some way. He found the cave where she had sheltered Lily, still with the nest of leaves intact. He also found, a few meters away, an abandoned den with signs of flooding. Everything made sense. The she-wolf had lost her cubs and, in the unbearable pain of grief, found a second chance to be a mother, even if only for 36 hours. Years passed. Lily grew up hearing the story of how she had been saved by a wild she-wolf. At 7 years old, she asked her parents to visit the forest where everything had happened. Thomas and Rachel agreed, accompanied by David, now a family friend. They walked to the cave, carrying wildflowers. That day, in the distance, among the trees, a gray shadow watched them. Shadow had never completely left. She had remained in that region, as if guarding the memory of those days when she was a mother again, even if to a different species. Lily grew up and became a veterinarian, dedicating her life to protecting wild animals. In her clinic, There was a framed photograph, the image of Shadow leaving her at the hospital entrance. Beneath it, a plaque read, "Love knows no species, knows no limits." Sometimes, the greatest act of love is knowing when to let go. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment on what you thought and where you're watching from. Stories like this remind us that kindness exists in the most unexpected places.